Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about this cool new place because it was recently discovered and it could be where our first human ancestors started to build, and this is where everything was started, or that's what they said. Earth's northern hemisphere was covered in enormous ice age glaciers when a group of hunter-gatherers in southern Turkey began constructing the world's first known temple. This site, called Gobekli Tepe, was built roughly 12,000 years ago, with some parts appearing to be even older. However, because the ancient temple is so vast and complex, archaeologists have been busy excavating it since its discovery in 1994. Along the way, they've uncovered strange animal carvings, towering stone pillars, and earliest known evidence of megalithic rituals. But despite all those years of research, they're still working to unravel mis- the biggest mysteries: who built it and why. World's first observatory, Gobekli Tepe, design and age have captured the public's imagination for decades. It's been the subject of widespread and often breathless press coverage and documentaries, as well as countless conspiracy theories, from aliens to phantasmical claims about ancient technological advanced civilizations. Sometimes scientists, primarily those not connected to the core group excavating the site, have speculated that Gobekli Tepe was actually an astronomical observatory, or perhaps even the biblical Garden of Eden. There are two major claims that those who think Gobekli Tepe was celestial connections. To the point, one suggested the site was aligned to the night sky, particularly the star Sirius, because the local people worshipped the star like other cultures in the region did not thousands of years later. Another claim that the carving of Gobekli Tepe recorded a comet impact that hit the Earth at the end of the Ice Age. Although Pillar 43 remains a mystery, Klaus Steen believes that one thing is clear about the pillars in general. They were built in T-shape as a kind of stylus human form, like the person without a head. Some others have even gone as far as to suggest that people who worshipped at the temple were kind of skull cult, like later people in the region who removed their heads from their buried bodies to employ them in rituals. If either of those things are true, Gobekli Tepe extreme age would indeed make it the world's oldest known astronomical site. However, those claims of Gobekli Tepe's connection to the night sky have been largely rejected by the main team actually excavating the temple. According to them, while the archaeologists site is remarkably well preserved, the forces of time have changed the location of certain features. For example, studies suggest some of the pillars were removed and recycled elsewhere. Furthermore, later civilizations in the area, and more recently farmers, have rearranged the portions of the certain pillars, even breaking pieces off. The researchers have since tried their best to restore Göbekli Tepe's pillars to the original locations, but the initial layout of the site stunning and building remains up for debate. That makes it impossible at the moment for archaeologists to know whether Göbekli Tepe had any Astronomical significance at all. But there's another, more obvious potential reason for doubt that the site's buildings were once aligned to the stars. There is significant possibility that we are all dealing with roofed structures. This fact alone would impose limitations to the function as the sky's observatories. The research team wrote in journal articles addressing the astronomical. An aerial view of Göbekli Tepe reveals that its sweeping expanse. The entire hillside shown here was made by human hands more than 10,000 years ago. Archaeologists suspected that humans only began building complex societies and structures after the invention of agriculture. They also thought that complex religions only emerged after those events. Also, whenever people don't know like what the pyramids were for or what the Mayan ruins were for, they usually say it was for worshiping a god, but they don't really know. So just kind of strange. Gobekli Tepe. Sorry, I keep saying that word wrong, but Gobekli Tepe overthrows those theories. The site sits on the core Fertile Crescent, a region in the Middle East historically considered the birthplace of farming, writing, and more. Yet, Gobekli Tepe was a pre-agricultural society. It was built before people in the region started farming. The discovery sent shockwaves to the archaeological community because Gobekli Tepe couldn't have been built by farmers. Farming didn't really exist at that point. Plus, with no domesticated pack of animals or tools to lighten the load, Gobekli Tepe would have had to be built using rudimentary instruments and human hands. At 12,000 years old, Gobekli Tepe predates humans' oldest known civilizations. Its mythological temples were cut from rock millennia before 4,500 years old. Pyramids in Egypt, 5,000 years old. Stonehenge in England, or 7,000-year-old Nepal Tapa, the oldest known astronomical site. It even seems construction on some of the parts of Gobekli Tepe might have been as far back as 14,000 or 15,000 years ago. So very, very predates anything that we have. The pyramids, Mayan ruins, any the mummies. Still, there isn't any evidence suggesting that people actually lived in Gobekli Tepe. There are no burials and there are apparent homes. When they did, they found signs that for centuries before Gobekli Tepe appeared, Stone Age hunter-gatherers in the region seemed to be building small, permanent settlements where they live communally, sharing their forage resources. If that's confirmed, then such sharing might have helped spawn the starting of societies. But even then, why did hunter gatherers from the surrounding communities seemingly work together in large numbers to build Gobekli Tepe? The answer to the question remains one of the biggest lingering mysteries. And I always think it's fascinating that all these stories come from the birthplace of humanity. Like if you see on the map, Bethlehem is just down the border of where Gobekli Tepe is currently. I mean, like this is a hot zone, and I also one of the things that I find fascinating is that this area has always been in war, like the Iraqi war with the United States, but it's always been under war, and like, but that's supposedly where Jesus was, and where like it's always been a hot zone. So thanks for watching. Until next time.